Welcome, fellow castigators. In 1969, the beloved Patrick Troughton decided to leave behind the grueling schedule of Doctor Who, and in 1970, Jon Pertwee exploded onto the screen in dazzling color, accentuated by his wardrobe of velvet smoking jackets. This Doctor was markedly a man of action, ready to karate chop ne'er-do-wells and chase aliens with his red-lined Inverness cape flowing behind him. The shock of these new changes is helped by the fact that his first appearance, Spearhead from Space, was entirely shot on 35mm film due to a technician strike at the BBC. This gives the episode a stunning look, rarely seen before or after, as Doctor Who was usually taped. The episode also introduces a single companion for the Doctor, which would become more or less the norm from here on out. Other than a few random episodes with Stephen Taylor, up to this point the Doctor had traveled in groups. Not that this Doctor would do much traveling. You see, due to his meddling during the War Games, the Time Lords have exiled the Doctor to Earth and confiscated a key component from his TARDIS. The Doctor reluctantly becomes the scientific advisor for UNIT, battling all kinds of alien threats. This makes his first 3 seasons feel rather limited, as he is stuck in a generic laboratory and boring old denim instead of traversing time and space. Fortunately, this budget-saving effort by the BBC wasn't a total flop. At this point, the Doctor was strong enough as a character to carry out a distinct change in format, and Jon Pertwee's strong, resolute portrayal was enough to keep audiences captivated. However, what really made this era unique was the United Nations Intelligence Task Force, or UNIT. This highly weaponized militaristic task force gives the episodes quite an edge, and creates many great characters, like Sergeant Osgood, Mike Yates, Harry Sullivan, John Benton, and of course, the unforgettable Alastair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart. It's worth pointing out that Nicholas Courtney has appeared in more episodes than Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, and Christopher Eccleston. UNIT is a perfect fit for a more action-oriented Doctor, and enables the show to keep up a nice pace, which is sorely needed since most of the Third Doctor episodes are 6 parts long, a trend that can become quite tiresome after a while. Other major characters include his companions Liz Shaw, Jo Grant, and Sarah Jane Smith. Liz Shaw was dreamt up as a more literal assistant for the Doctor, a scientist who could more or less keep up with the Doctor's techno-mumbo-jumbo. Liz has more degrees than a human being could ever possibly achieve, and is therefore mostly capable of keeping the Doctor on his toes. Unfortunately, the producers felt that Liz was not suitable for exposition, and a dumber replacement was needed. Ousting Liz after 1 season unfairly left her little time for character development. But Caroline John makes it count, and the character ultimately becomes memorable anyway. In contrast, Jo Grant is a unit operative with little experience and specializes chiefly in unlocking things. As you can imagine, this is not an ability that is needed regularly. Nonetheless, Jo makes up for it in enthusiasm, and is generally regarded as the most fitting companion for this Doctor. I think this is much in part due to her obvious chemistry with Jon Pertwee that unlocked the more fatherly aspect of the character, rarely seen in the previous incarnation. In Jo Grant's departure episode, The Green Death, it's hard not to be reminded of saying goodbye to Susan. It's also notable that Jo often wears a ring on every finger, which makes her easily the most intimidating companion. Speaking of formidable women, Sarah Jane Smith was the Third Doctor's last assistant before his regeneration. Sarah Jane, as you probably know, has become infamous in Doctor Who canon. She is one of the longest-serving companions. She has returned to the show numerous times and even had her own spin-off series. I could easily make an entire video on Sarah Jane, so for the sake of time, I'll move on. The subject is more suitable for my inevitable Fourth Doctor retrospective, seeing as most of her time was spent with him. It would, however, be a mistake to go on without mentioning Roger Delgado as the Master. His first appearance in Terror of the Autons establishes the Master as the quintessential mustache-twirling villain. He's just dripping with deviousness, and you can tell Delgado is enjoying every second. Of course, the Master would become a staple character, all thanks to Delgado's performance. He could easily have been like any other menacing, deep-voiced megalomaniac on Doctor Who, but instead he's soft-spoken and can turn commanding in an instant. You really get a feeling for how easily he can control people. Roger Delgado's acting earned the respect of Jon Pertwee, and they became close friends when not trying to kill each other on screen. In fact, it was Delgado's untimely passing that was a major influence on Pertwee leaving the show. But before that, Pertwee left with a fantastic run on Doctor Who. Pertwee was originally cast to bring in more humor than his predecessor, but was told by a producer to play himself. Since he was previously Navy intelligence, this made the character more straightforward conversationally, with a penchant for using gadgets. The Third Doctor was decidedly a tough leader, full of initiative, bringing the character back to the patriarchal standing of his original incarnation. In addition, Jon Pertwee was known for being a ridiculously kind and generous man, going as far as welcoming fans into his own home. This aspect of his personality showed through the character, producing a balance between his crankiness and affability that would continue to be utilized, especially for the modern Doctors who are generally friendlier. If you haven't seen the Third Doctor's era, I highly recommend it. It's full of iconic episodes such as The Curse of Peladon, The Claws of Axos, The Three Doctors, or The Time Warrior, just to name a few. This era is such a wonderful, campy product of its time. Despite all the limitations set on it by the BBC, the cast and crew managed to make it a memorable and worthwhile entry of Doctor Who. I'm very pleased that Tim Treloar and Katie Manning are continuing the good work in Big Finish, and I hope that audiences continue to enjoy the Third Doctor's episodes for another 50 years and more.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now?